Questions on the 12 steps, just a friendly announcement. This is not an AA meeting. This is just one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the big book and the solutions contained within. This is not an all share meeting. Those shares there will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. And apparently we're going through the We Agnostics chapter together.
Oh, are we? Do
I
you
think we
remember?
might be, but I'm not sure where we left off last Thursday.
Well, I bet you no one else does either. So
I think no one does, so
pick a point and let me see.
yeah, let you see.
Uh,
Probably page 48 or 49, I would imagine. I'm not sure.
I think it's the bottom of 47.
Okay. So simpler level was maybe the last words you read?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. Besides a scene, oh, okay, everybody, we're reading from page 47, the very last sentence. Besides a seeming inability to accept much on faith, we often found ourselves handicapped by obstinacy, sensitiveness, and unreasoning prejudice. Many of us have been so touchy that even casual reference to spiritual things made us bristle with antagonism. This sort of thinking had to be abandoned. Though some of us resisted, we found no great difficulty in casting aside such feelings. Faced with alcoholic destruction, we soon became as open minded on spiritual matters as we had tried to be on other questions. In this respect, alcohol was a great persuader. It finally beat us into a state of reasonableness. Sometimes this was a tedious process. We hope no one else will be prejudiced for as long as some of us were. The reader may
Stop
still,
there.
oh,
Can
stop
we
there.
stop there because we read this already, but I wanted to just to put a emphasis on this sort of thinking had to be abandoned. So it doesn't say stopped. Yes. Yes.
True.
When you abandon something, that doesn't mean that something disappears or stops. You just abandon it. So, like when we would be driving around San Francisco, when we were out there, and we'd have like a Beta, like an old Oldsmobile, and then we'd run into a tree. None of us had licenses, or we had contemporary registration, so we would abandon the car. The car didn't disappear. We left the car. Yeah, we left. So the abandoning is loss of interest, I feel. That's how you abandon thoughts. You lose interest in them. Yeah. And how does that happen? First of all, you start seeing they're not yours. Yeah. The interest in the thoughts, obviously, is wedded to the thoughts by their mind. Yeah. The interest to the thoughts are wedded to the thoughts by mind. Owning the thoughts to be ours, those thoughts have a huge amount of a power over us. Yes? So here they're saying abandon, wherever it was here. We abandon those thoughts. In other words, we move past the thoughts or away from the thoughts. Yes? Yes. How do you do that? Well, if you had we had the lesson already by going to early on, going to meetings. Yeah. You had to at least feel at certain times that the people that were sharing seemed to have your thoughts and your feelings, and the way you reacted, they sort of reacted to the same situations in life. The suspiciousness had to grow sooner or later. I used to watch it where people were getting it and then they backed back into ownership of the thoughts. But they were there going, it's amazing how everyone thinks like I do and feels like I do. Yes, and what does that mean? And then they back off and rest in that little personal pond. Yeah. But if you can let it go, and we're just trying to trigger it here, is that one of the first giant like when the ring of one of the rings of Saturn moved away from Saturn for me was when I saw a lot of the thoughts that were running in my head during the day were alcoholic thoughts. Yeah. Because I had been, and I could frame them as that because they were the thoughts I heard the most at meetings and feelings described and reactions to life. So I was hearing it, it was getting collated, the higher power was using it, and it was getting through. Yeah. And then that ring just moved, and I had some freedom from the thoughts by seeing them not as mine. Yeah. I'm just describing. Here we're supposed to, in AA, it's experience, strength, and hope. Yes, this was the experience. I went in, sat at AA meetings, listened to people for months. First, when I went into the meeting, I would feel the terminal uniqueness that I didn't notice when I was running around. When I sat in the meeting, I felt unique, very unique. And my head was trying to distance myself from everyone else in the meeting. And one of the ways I would judge, would I get high with this person? No, I would not fucking get high with them. And there was like, okay, don't hear anything they say. Yeah. So it was like, and then I heard over these months, thoughts, feelings, and reactions to life. And after this accumulation, the higher power stepped in and gave me its idea of what was going on. And it says they're not your thoughts. Yeah. If all of these people share them, they're not yours. Yeah. And then very quickly thereafter, I ran into an amends. I wasn't looking for it. I don't even think I wasn't even at step 9 at the time. But somebody who I owed money to caught me with my pants down in front of other people. So of course, at that point in my sobriety, I was taking my face to be my ass, and I was always looking to protect my face, the image. Suddenly the lady goes, "Hello, Paul. Do you remember me?" I go, "No." It says, "You owe me $500. So wow. So my spiritual pants, they were shorts at that time, not pants, but they dropped down and I got nabbed. And you know what? I didn't have any fear or anything come up. And I spoke from the best way I could see it at that moment, which was given to me by the higher power. I said to her, I would have done what I did to you to anyone else unless you could physically stop me. Yeah. So I was speaking as the driven, and I got so much relief not being the driver. Yeah. Yes, you could say the car hit the person, but really who drove into the person was the driver. So I made an amends to that person. Yeah. But I didn't have a giant sense of contraction because I was bad or anything, because I got one of the first inklings that I was not the doer of all the shit I did while under the influence. It was beautiful. I mean, a living book. I was getting results just by sitting at meetings and shit and having the same information, not not immediately collated by the head, but by the higher power. Yeah. And this is a function, if you know the Course in Miracles or not. It's an interesting book. They talk to the living agent of the all-powerful is called the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And the Holy Spirit will collate, will take in the same information your head does, but completely interpret it differently. Yeah. And so now, instead of just having K-Paul as the only station, you have an auxiliary station of K higher power. And now the K higher power tells you what something means. And then the head rushes in and tries to tell you what it thinks it means. Now, the old habit is just listening to the head, but there is a possibility, trusting the infinite, and you start listening to that. And you will judge the tree by its fruits. You will see what listening to Paul's head gets him and what listening to the Spirit gets him. Yeah. And it's just incredible pragmatic because it works. Huh? And then all the excuses and rationalizations and blaming others from the other system was because it doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't deliver the goods. When I feel gratitude for something doing for me what I cannot do for myself, there is not a trailing of blaming and excuses and rationale. It's just pure, yeah. Yet something's touched me in a beautiful way, and I felt it. Yeah, yeah. So I just want to throw that in there because when I first got introduced to spirituality, when they would say no thought, I said I had to get into a condition of no thought, and that was failed miserably because I'm not the herder or the cause or the source of the thoughts. I'm noticing the thoughts, yeah. And what thoughts get emphasized and what thoughts don't get emphasized is based on who's running me or what's running me. Yes? Yeah. So try to not to have a thought. See what happens. Try to have a thought. You don't can't do that either, actually. But you can abandon, in this case, the thoughts by losing interest in it. And I truly believe how the hitch of the thoughts drag us along is the my, yeah, that we believe these are our thoughts. I think that's got to be start entertaining the possibility they're not yours, and I'll tell you, it's going to come to pass that you have seen something truthfully. Yeah, yes. The thoughts, yeah, yeah. You have to see it. The simple thing. I want everyone here to have money. I don't want anyone to have my money. Did I change the word money? No. Did I change any letter in it? No. But I changed the complete meaning of it, putting my before it. That's it. Yeah. That's what the head is doing. It doesn't, it's not reacting to a problem, it's reacting to my problem. Yeah, that's a problem. You're gonna try to become a master of problems while being the generator of the problems. You're gonna have to do a lot of landscaping constantly because you'll swear that you cut the lawn and yet the next day it's all overgrown. So yeah, all right. So you want to start reading again? So we passed this. I think we're at. Oh yeah, I think it's the reader may right underneath in 48. The re
Okay.
Yeah.
The reader may still ask why he should believe in a power greater than himself. We think there are good reasons. Let us have a look at some of them.
Yeah.
The practical individual of today is a stickler for facts and results. Nevertheless, the 20th century readily accepts theories of all kinds, provided they are firmly grounded in fact. We have numerous theories, for example, about electricity. Everybody believes them without a murmur of doubt. Why this ready acceptance? Simply because it is impossible to explain what we see, feel, direct, and use without a reasonable assumption as a starting point.
Hmm.
Everybody nowadays believes in scores of assumptions for which there is good evidence, but no perfect visual proof. And does not science demonstrate that visual proof is the weakest proof? It is being constantly revealed as mankind studies the material world that outward appearances are not inward reality at all. To illustrate,
Wow. We should just stop there.
okay,
That's a pretty big statement.
it is.
Yeah.
We'll start
That
at
outward appearances are not inward reality at all. We must be having a subjective experience. Yeah. Where does the problem reside from the AA diagnosis? The mind.
Mhm.
There you go.
There you go.
The mind is giving us a subjective experience of this place. Yeah. Knowing it or not, between us and our life, there's a middleman or a middle woman that's pretty much translating and interpreting the whole event. Yeah. It was funny, if you hear a description of a subjective experience, then you can get it. Yes, it's not difficult. I remember when I got run over by the car, I ended up in a teaching hospital, and I was in a ward where a lot of people, mostly motorcycle accidents, had been severely damaged physically, bad legs and stuff. So we were all basically under the same trauma, pretty much. Yet how the we reacted in certain situations was completely different. Like some people had never drank and they started to drink. Some people were alcoholics and they stopped drinking. Yeah. So the facts would have been, 10 compound fractures, broken hip, broken shoulder. Maybe the fact that the other guy was 8 compound fractures, 2 broken hips and a shoulder. Yeah, whatever. You were in a severe level. Yet the experience that people had based on that experience was completely different. Yeah. So the condition of the body that was very similar did not bring about similar results in the experience of it. Yeah. That was a subjective experience. Yeah. Now, if the problem resides in the mind, and the mind is where the subjective experience is made up or gathered, uh, wow, you may be having an alcoholic interpretation of life right now without having had a drink in the last 20 years. Yeah. Because the problem does not reside in the drink, it resides in the mind. Yeah. So if maybe you've been looking at everything and every time something happens and it's beautiful, you still don't think that's enough. Yeah. And on and on. And you'll start seeing, though your life has changed, the subjective experience of it hasn't. You're still an asshole, let's say. Yeah. So, so, uh, uh, where's the change going to occur in recovery? First, on the physical, the factual, like you don't drink, yeah, and then we recover from the underlying causes and conditions, and hopefully we do that by recognizing the exact nature of the wrong. And as we presented in the beginning of this is sort of reflections on the 12th step from a recognition of the exact nature of the wrong. That would be the complete statement, literally. Yeah. The way I look at the steps comes from the exact nature of the wrong. Yeah. That's how I look at it. I look at everything in AA from that point. And I believe the exact nature of the wrong is foreign to us. Yeah. He would give you a lot of leeway of laying in bed and watching Bloodline if you had the flu. Yes. You wouldn't be so hard on yourself. But in this case, the head alcoholism is like a flu that has you. And now you live as if you're the flu. And if you hear a, an alcoholic's subjective experience, it sounds quite a lot like your subjective experience, doesn't it? So it's sort of, and we may have all different facts, but the subjective experience is shared. That's why when you hear people or you see someone, you know they're an alcoholic or something, yeah, because you can recognize the subjective experience of an alcoholic because you've lived under that same subjective experience. And it's really subjected, yeah. It's been put on us. in a sense. Yeah. There's the commonality. The problem resides in the mind. Yeah. You put out a physical fire, it doesn't mean you put the fire out in the mind. Yeah. So this is AA's solution. It's got to be of a spiritual nature, which really means it's not of a mental nature. So it's not coming from the where the problem resides, the mind. Yeah. And the basis is there's going to be a shift, which is you're going to tell the truth about trusting finite self. Yeah. And by doing that, it initiates a migration of that trust to the infinite. Yeah. And what happens? Where are the fruits of that going to manifest? In your subjective experience. Yes. You may never have been thankful, and now you have gratitude. Yes. You'll have a new basis and a new attitude and outlook and a new freedom and happiness. Yes. This is all subjective experience. What's a happiness for one person and happiness for another? Yes. What freedom? That tons of different definitions, but how do you feel like, and what kind of feeling do you call freedom? That's your subjective experience. Yeah. That's where the real change occurs. Yeah. My leg that got run over has not been straightened out by recovery. Has not been straightened out. Yeah. All the scars didn't disappear. Yeah. But my subjective experience with that bent leg and the scars has changed dramatically. Yeah. I have been placed in a position of neutrality concerning a lot of shit I was in conflict with. Yes. Especially that I am not managerial quality and that I should be able to do what I want, which isn't true. Yes. I am so happy I've been placed in a condition of abstinence where I never think about drugs or alcohol, because I bet you if I did a little, I'd be thinking a lot about it. But because it can't get even the tiniest smell, it can't imagine anything. It's beautiful. But I have a feeling if I kept opening bottle caps underneath its nose, it would pick it up sooner or later. So we share a subjective experience because it has been imposed upon us by a common problem. Yeah. Almost like a parasitical takeover. Yeah. And the greatest news is that which has taken you over and drove you to do all that tons of shit while under the influence was not you. Yes. And you can truly abandon it because it's not you. Yeah. I can abandon the car. I can never abandon me. In this case, we don't see self as us, and you can abandon self. You can leave it at the curb and drive away. It's great. You may look back. I would advise not to, like the sirens of Ulysses. But if you look back, it's all right anyway. Go help somebody and go to a meeting. But basically, uh, yes, this is what happened with me, humbly, my experience. I was reading the book quite a lot, how it works, because had a commitment to lead a fourth step workshop. So how it works. Ran into that statement, page 64, self, being convinced, self. So the condition that's on me is being convinced. Yeah. Self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Okay. I saw self as foreign to me, have never seen it as me since. Yes. Something sees it as me, but I'm not that. Yeah, that's the great news. Yeah. And it brought about a possibility of relief that actually has manifested. to the point where I've been traveling lighter as an action figure, a very complicated, confused, very sensitive in a self-entitled way manner character has been able to travel lighter through 37 years of living where it couldn't make it through a day at one point. Yeah. Been given a purpose, yeah, given meaning, yeah, has seen the lovely light going on people's eyes from coming into recovery. Yeah, all of that. Yeah. So what the reflections on the 12 steps of how recognizing the exact nature on the wrong reflects on the 12 steps. Yeah. And one of the main things it does, it emphasizes when it says you have been driven by 100 forms of something. That excludes you from being the driver. Yes? So you are being used, this object is being used to produce a subjective experience. The head is addicted to this idea of self, and we're having an experience of whatever we look at, we see how it pertains to us. Yes? What AA does is breaks that trance by doing our simple things, and hopefully for most of us, basically staying physically sober a day at a time. Then we're on the operating table. We don't get up. We don't play doctor. And then the incredible, it's such a precision operation because it's not like taking a gallstone out. Yeah, it's an operation of the head. Yeah. Yes. The central meaning of the head is going to be removed and replaced. Yeah. From finite self to infinite. Yeah. See if you run better with the infinite. Just see what happens. I mean, we're not 2 levels below a coconut. We have some kind of sentience as the action figure. You know when you're being treated badly or you're not, don't you? I swear. Yeah. I mean, if you don't come to that conclusion, there's something resisting you to come to that conclusion. Yes? Yeah. Something still trying to interpret and give you its subjective experience and replace your subjective experience. Yeah. AA meetings are we're all people who want that that app to be removed. And we've realized we can't remove the app. That's part of being in the app. And then we surrender and the app's removed and replaced with the infinite app. And then we run around for how many more years of life we have and we do less harm. Yes. Yeah. So anything else? What's happening, honey? We do we want to read any more? No. The only thing I love really, I like this chapter, but the point I like the most is can uh could you actually feel like you're more of a movement than a thing? Yeah. And I humbly believe AA insinuates it a lot when he talks about faith. And I believe faith is a force, sort of like gravity or dark matter or something, but it's got a lot of oomph, but the faith is going to manifest because it's neutral. It's going to manifest by the vehicle it is put in. Now, I believe we have been vehicles it has been put in, and there's been a lot of faith in the head, yeah, the thinking. Yes? And we've seen what that faith in the thoughts can do. Yeah. A thought that if you see it as someone else's has no real big effect on you can destroy your day if it's held as my thought. Yeah. I don't believe that's the thought's power. I believe that's faith, really. I do. I believe, uh, and here they seem to agree. They say on the bottom of page 53, without knowing it, and this is usually the condition when you've been fed a subjective experience, you haven't come to a subjective experience. So yes, we get a strict interpretation that we think is personal, but that's why we go to meetings and we sit with each other. We realize the commonality of what has defeated us because it's obvious that who you thought was completely different than you have been directed by the same system, yeah, taken over by alcoholism. So without knowing it, had we not been brought to where we stood by a certain kind of faith. They're not talking about like Christianity or Judaism, not a faith, but faith. Yeah. So then he goes, for did we not believe in our own reasoning? Yeah. All right. So there it is. So there's a lot of faith in the problem, actually, where the problem is residing in the mind. Our reasoning is probably skewed at this point quite a lot. And yet there's great faith in it. Okay, so he says, what? Then he goes, did we not have confidence in our ability to think? What was that but a sort of faith? Yeah, a big sort of faith. Yeah. So there's faith. Now it's being put into something that's going to direct its manifestation. So you have alcoholism, you have thoughts that are self-centered, they're going off, you're feeling like they're all yours, and they're like the Greek oracle. You rely on it completely to tell you how you were, how you're going to be, how you're going to be later, how they were, this and that. Tons of faith in your judging and comparing and thinking. Tons of faith. Producing a whole world, yeah, for you. So what was that but a sort of faith? Yes, we had been, this is where I love this part. Yet we had been faithful, abjectly faithful. Now, Kathy from Cleveland took a moment to look at what the definition of the word abjectly, and one of them is spiritless servility. Wow, this is incredible. Eh? If you're a real addict alcoholic, one statement captures a lot, which is incomprehensible, pitiful demoralization. This is right up there with that, which is spiritless servility. This right up there. Those two are the most profound descriptions of the bondage of self. Pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization, and you're trying to figure it out. And spiritless servility. Wow, servility. Oh, so you're bent over, you're on your knees. Yeah. And that light that was in you seems to have gone out. Yeah. Spiritless servility. You don't even want to drink, yet you find yourself drinking. That is an effect of spiritless servility. If you don't want, if you can give me a better description where you, for every ounce in you, do not want to have a drink, and then you're drunk 2 hours later, that's spiritless servility. You are being led by your proverbial nose. Yeah. And it's done by what? Faith. So what was that but a sort of faith? Yes, we had been faithful, abjectly faithful to the God of reason. What's the God of reason? It's not your elbow, is it? No, it's the head. So in one way or another, that means that captures everything, yes? One way or another, yeah, faith had been involved all the time. Yeah. So you could actually replace you have been involved all the time with faith. And I bet you it would be a much more clearer description of your life than with you. Yes, I swear. You would see it's just neutral power being directed. Yeah. AA has the possibility. There's only two basic directions: trusting finite self or trusting the infinite, or having faith in finite self or having faith in the infinite. Yeah. Now, many of us have realized we can't deliver the faith. We're the effect of the faith. Yeah. So we admit that dilemma. We admit that we're outmatched. And then somehow, something, let's call it the higher power of grace, through the auspices of this program for living, this design for living, does exactly what we need to have done, that which we cannot do. Yeah. So suddenly we lose interest in self. Unbelievable. Lose interest in self. And then all of these effects start happening. Yeah. So that faith in self has been broken. Yeah. You have been demoralized and beaten and used and driven. And now and most of it was without you knowing it. Now you know it. And we make just a humble decision because we don't have the power to complete the mission. And we say, hey, I make a decision to turn this will and this life over to the care of a power greater than self. That's basically the principle of the third step. We can't make that transfer, but we make the decision. And then we do some steps called the working steps, and we initiate grace, really. Yeah, because faith without action, yeah, faith without works, yes. So the faith is us, and now we're going to be put into the works, which is 4 through 9. And then what does it do? After having a spiritual awakening, bam, you have had a shift that has been sufficient enough to keep you sane concerning the insanity that precedes the first drink. There you go. So you don't have to figure out how to stop. You don't start ever anymore, a day at a time. It just becomes a lot of academics because you don't get loaded. Yeah. It's probably been the most stable condition of my life. It's been 37 years now. It's probably the most stable condition I have been in this life is sober. Yeah. And a lot of shit has spin on out of that. Huge amount of stuff. I mean, countless moments where that anxiety was subdued and I could see and feel and taste and touch and smell. Yes? And allow that which wants to greet me to actually greet me in life instead of me rushing through every moment to get to a seemingly better, bigger moment. This ain't meritocracy. No way. You don't earn it. No way. No way. Yeah. 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 You look at what happens if that subjectiveness goes super far. You may start every day believing you hate yourself. That's insane. Or that you're your own worst enemy. That is insane. That's insane. So, yeah, I love this page 53, 54 because I'm not talking about faith as a topic. I have felt something. I have felt force. I've seen the contrast of effects based on where the faith is. Yeah. I mean, I've had it. I've been slapped silly. Yeah. By this God of reason tons of fucking times. And I have been relieved with such generosity, all produced by faith, but the faith is going to be produced by the vehicle it's put in. Yeah. And AA wants to change that dynamic instead of changing the vehicle. It just wants to move the faith from trusting finite self to the infinite. And it just wants you to let it. That's all. And how we let it is not drinking today. Yeah. Let's say we have a idea here in San Francisco. The alcoholic calls you after they drink. The recovered alcoholic calls you before they drink. Yeah. If the alcoholic calls you before they drink, lots of possibilities. If they call you after they drink, you got to go to a meeting. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So one plentiful possibility, one a tiny, tiny, very small road. Yeah. All because of what? The condition. Where is faith now? Faith was put into the thought system that brought you to a drink, and now that fucking thing opens up again. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So if your habit, if you get in the habit of being sober, that faith will stabilize. It won't be like a stock market. It will stabilize. It'll be like gold, so to speak. Yes. You've got gold in the bank. It's always seemingly keeping its value, that faith. And now, whatever happens, you show up for the day, eh? Yeah. So, all right. So if you don't believe you have faith, that's faith. Yeah. If you super
Hey, how did you do?
faith, that's faith. Yeah.
How did you do?
Hmm? So yeah, this is from observation. After, we're sentient, yeah. After you've been moved so many times, you sort of get an intimacy of what's moving you, don't you? I mean, if you're a horse and you've been ridden by two jockeys, you sort of know which jockey's moving towards you. You get a little anxious if there's one, and then you're chilled out with the other based on how they rode you. Yes? I would imagine an amoeba would move away from alcoholism if it could. Yes? I would. Yeah. What gives it the staying power? It has a trick. It convinces the host it's the parasite. It neutralizes all the possibility the host has because it's not the parasite. It neutralizes it. You're now living as if you're the thing that's defeating you. It's insane. With the hopes that you can rehab it or pray it away or whatever, it's pointless. Yes? How many millions of dollars have you tried to spend on rehabbing self, making it a better, bigger, clearer, authentic? I haven't found my authentic self. You'll never find an authentic self. It's an emblem that's put on a car. It's not the car. Yeah. Yes. In this case, we're driven by the emblem. So yeah, the reflections on this 12 steps are rooted in the exact nature of the wrong. I humbly believe it's foreign to you. I do not believe you're going to be in a condition of not regretting the past nor shutting the door on it if you believe you were the doer of all that action. I do not, because I was used to do some horrendous shit. And in the court of the head, I have been convicted. I have been living out a lot of those sentences based on that I was the doer of them. Those have been null and voided. I do not see that I was the doer of them. I don't. Yeah. I believe decisions were based on self that put me in a position to be hurt or whatever, and so on and so forth. Self is not me. Mm. Yeah. So I can do not regret the past. There's great value in it. And I don't shut the door on it. I'm going to share at a meeting. I just fucking, yeah, yeah. But I very rarely visit it, very rarely, other than when you speak. I have no interest in it. Yes, I made the amends. Yeah. because we're in Rome. We have to do what Romans do, but I'm not of Rome. Yes. Yeah. So I'm a real believer that you and I have been driven by something other than us, literally. And a way it keeps you enslaved to the idea is that you were the doer of what it compelled you to do while under the influence. Yeah. You're still writing checks out for those transgressions of 40 years ago. That's insane. It's completely insane to me. So, yeah, here we are. Put it out there. It's infecting the program on a whole. That's great. That's the point. You're a part of a giant project, knowing it or not. All of us are. These YouTubes are going to be left around somewhere. And then people, hopefully in the future of recovery, it won't be such a hard possibility to hear. It'll be in the whole zeitgeist of that what has defeated us is foreign to us. Yes. Yeah. So you can actually truly be free from it, not try to be free as it. We know where that leads us. Self can't get out of self. So, yeah. So thinking you're not doing anything today, you may be being put to great use right now because you're part of this little video, and there you go. Yes? I feel like I'm missing something at those meetings. Oh, wait a minute. I fell upon these videos. Some fucking character from New York, but forget him. He's just the messenger. That message I'm sort of digging. Yeah. He passed away 8 years ago, but the message hasn't. You can see what's more important, the messenger or the message. Yeah, so wait. All right. Anyone wants to say anything, share or whatever?
I have a quick share from my experience about this abandoning of the loss of interest in the self, and I've observed in myself that when I sort of made a kind of a strenuous effort to abandon, although I didn't realize it was strenuous until afterwards, I experienced a kind of a backdraft where it's like I was pushing things into the shadow, I suppose, and then all of a sudden it's like something, the ego goes, hey, what about me? So I think that therefore I think there's a bit of a nuance there, because I think it can be easy for me. It's the word I don't quite, that word abandon doesn't quite sit right with me, because it just sounds to me like self getting out of self, because it's a very positive action. It's a very forceful action. I think it can be very easy to turn into self trying to get out of self, which obviously doesn't work. And that's just a share, I guess.
Yes. But see, everything is going to be claimed by self. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's been claimed by self. It doesn't. Self uses that to make it like a historical fact already. No, there's no claim. Self has never claimed fucking anything. There's the claiming that implies a self. Yeah. That's going to happen every time. You'll know in your gut when it's on the money or you're acting after it's been claimed. Yes. Yeah. But it likes to sort of uh, it thinks it can turn every mayonnaise, bad, so to speak. No, no, no. Well, we use the word abandoning because we're in recovery. So we're using what's familiar to us to trigger, hopefully, a possibility of an understanding of the exact nature of the wrong. So the mental activity claims what's going on. That's what it does. Yeah. So if there's doing, it claims there's a doer. Yes. That's going to happen. Yeah. Now, if it seems like it worked, it had your consent. It had manufactured your consent. Yes. Usually in the case of not knowing anything. So now that you know it, that consent is withheld and it's just a naked claiming of the activity. So you can be assured that if there's doing, the head will claim to be a doer. Yeah. And therefore you won't be surprised and you won't waste any time trying to stop that activity because it has nothing to do with you. You're the awareness of the activity. You're not the effect, you're not the product of the activity. Yeah. So yeah, this is just stating a fact that I observed, and I imagine most people have now, is that conscious contact brings something into contact, and that's the head, and then the head claims the conscious contact. So there's doing, and then it gets to a point where it can't imagine doing without a doer. Yeah, it just, and if it's not you or them, it's God or something. And you start seeing the fallacy of it all. That doesn't stop because you're not the one doing the mechanical claiming. It's the head. Yeah. So you just see it, and now you're withholding uh, your consent. You're not buying it anymore. Yeah. You recognize the doing, you don't recognize the doer. That's all. Yeah. So a lot of people start thinking, well, it's everything's going to be spoiled because this little, let's say, sourdough is put in everything. That's not the case. Yeah. You're the leavening agent. You're the one that makes the bread blow up. Yeah. Now that has been removed from the mechanicalness of it, and you just see the naked, like a hole puncher will punch holes. That's what you see. Yeah. And the idea of self uh, is presented as there already is one. Yeah. Yeah. So people, when they see the mechanism of claiming, they think there's a self doing it. No, the claiming is to imply the self. Yeah. Yeah. When you see that, it doesn't imply the self anymore, or you see you're not that, there's a freedom from it. And it's a great reminder of what you're not. Yeah. The manufacturing of what the head says you are is a great reminder to us as of what we're not. It's a great reminder. You could not pray as much as this will remind you. You would probably lag when you're doing the beads of a rosary. This is more. All that you used to call you will be seen as not you. It's fucking awesome. You'll have a constant reminder of what you're not. You couldn't have, it's better than getting those little electrodes that you zap yourself every 5 seconds. It's faster than that. And it just comes from an understanding that's actually rooted in truth, yes, because uh, it could be your last answer. Your last answer to am I the doer, the feeler, the seer is the mechanical claiming of these verbs to imply a noun. It may just quiet every other fucking agitation around that topic. People are believing their condition is a mechanical condition and that it's done in choice. And then when they have a super big spiritual awakening and that mechanical condition doesn't change, they disqualify themselves and the seeking continues. Yes? Because they believed a lot of what they're not have anything to do with, really, they have a lot to do with. So the spiritual awakening is not going to trickle down to the mechanical activity. It's not. It's going to do what it always does, which is claim the conscious contact. That's what it does. I don't care if you're fucking Jesus times 12. It's still going to do it. The thing is, you lose interest in it. That's all. Because the real, uh, it's an addiction to the mechanical drawing of this idea of you. The head is addicted. This is the true drug. The true drug of the head is self. Yeah. And all the drugs we took to get relief from that They are called the addiction, but the real addiction is the mental state's addiction to this idea of self. It cherishes this fucking idea. It's quite stubborn about it. It'll defend it to no end. Yes. And basically, what it triggers drives us to desire some relief. And in ignorance, what we use to get relief from it gets used by it. Yeah. And now we have the relief I got from having a beer got me into alcoholism. Yes. Yes. So it uses your misadvised solutions to become part of the bigger problem. Yes. Yes. So it hides. It's like Dracula going on vampire hunts. You're now trying to get out of all these addictions as the main addiction. Yeah. And it's people will always find they're addicted to something else. Yeah. They
I think it's that addiction is coming from often it's coming from good intentions. The good intention being a kind of a protection. You know, when you were talking about abandoning that God of reason, I was reminded of a fear which I experienced, which is that without reason, then I will be unreasonable. I will be lost. I won't be able to navigate the world. I won't be able to make sense of things, and I will therefore be. I could get harmed in some ways. I won't have my wits about me. So I
That's the
think
system talking,
what's
Michael.
that?
That's the system talking.
100%. It's just yes. I mean, it does take faith, and it is a leap of faith to say the hell with that. My reasoning hasn't been working out for me. You
Yeah.
know,
But see, the leap of faith is in that.
it's a scary leap of faith. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
The faith, there's no leap in that. The leap of faith in that which isn't reliable is the leap. That's the hard one. Just because it's habitually there doesn't mean it's not spending a lot of energy. It's constantly working on this. Yeah. When you land on something that's actually valid, there's no leap in it. It produces the goods. Yeah. This is the beauty of AA is there is a solution. That's the real, that's the period of the statement. There is a solution. You will see faith in action. You'll see its effects. You'll know the tree by its fruits. AA, people say that it didn't work. It worked for that day for some people who hadn't been sober for a day in 20 years. They went to the meeting, they went out to lunch with some people, they went to another meeting, and they were sober that fucking day. Yeah? So basically, AA delivered the goods. It did in time. It was a short bit of time, but nonetheless, it delivered the goods. Yeah? Yeah. Now, it's cool if it extends and it becomes your way of life. But in fact, I've seen people that have drank every day and they stopped for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days through this mechanism. So AA works. That's the recovery programs work. It matters how long they'll be allowed to work. And to me, this is where the habits being changed are important because you're in the habit of not being sober and you can be in the habit of being sober. And the habit is really has a very strong gravitational pull, habits. And habits are actions without thoughts. Yeah. Yes. So this is what happens in this program. They give you a way of life so that you introduce the new principles through suggestions, and now you get into a groove where you're in the habit of being sober. I mean, and the simple way of expressing it is, I don't think about going to an AA meeting, I think which one. Yeah. So I'm in the habit of supporting this condition of sobriety. I don't think about it. Yeah. This is one of the consequences of living this way of life. It's going to turn into a habit. Yes. And it's going to be a great insurance policy. It's a great insurance policy. Yeah. Great. Because well, however bad you think it is, it's going to be way worse if that big dog wakes up. I swear, you won't be sitting on this lovely cushion in a Zoom. You'll be fucking trying to figure something out that you can't figure out. So, bask in the glory of what is absent in your life. It's incredible. You cannot imagine how much weight could have been poured on you. Yeah, just by the grace of being sober. Wow, it's just incredible. Yeah, yeah. So, yes, just recognize, see, we have a statement, self-knowledge avails us nothing. We turn that around a little. I believe knowledge of self will avail you a lot. Yeah, just see what you're not. You're not what you think, what the thoughts think you are, you're not. It's very simple. Yeah. Why would you waste trying to change the thoughts to think of what you are? It's just pointless. You just see the failure of things, and that's the great success. Yeah. Yeah. Perhaps there's a better way or a different way. Now the faith is in the supreme, if you want to call it that, higher power. And there's an ease and comfort in your life. Instead of the faith in the head, you're agitated all fucking day and usually dominated by what's not happening because your head is making shit up. People, most people are out of, they don't have constant fear every day. There's not an apparent threat of them getting eaten by a fucking shark or something. Yeah. But they believe they're in a lot of fear. What's producing that? It's faith in mental anxiety. Yeah, that's what it is. The mental state says, I know you're not getting fucked over now, but you're gonna be fucked over. And therefore it relives something that it thought it happened 20 years ago, and it relives it and re-feels it and re-this. And now fear has been corrupted, and it's a disguise of mental anxiety most of the day because what you're afraid of isn't apparent. So that's when fear gets triggered, is when there's an apparent threat. If there's no apparent threat, what's triggering the fear? It has to be faith in the thoughts. Yeah. How can the fear of next week override this moment unless faith was involved? Yeah. That you believe beyond what's happening now that something's going to happen next week. And that faith is negating the day, basically, and being held ransom by that next week. I've watched it in meetings. Some lady comes in, some girl, and she's totally flipped out. And most people aren't, because there's no guns in the room. There was coffee, there's little cookies, everyone's sort of happy. She's completely flipped out, can't wait to share. And then she shares. It's like July 20th, and she's afraid of August 17th. So, all right, August 17th, a lot of stuff's going to happen, but it's not there. It's July 28th. So, and it's not August 17th, it's what she believes is going to happen August 17th. That's faith fucking in action. Can't you see it? Where everyone is we have this, we agreed that it's July 28th, yet this head is so obsessed with what it believes is going to happen August 17th, it's overriding any of July 28th, which is actually the only thing happening. That's faith. What else could do it? It's not August 17th, is it? Or everyone in that room would have been fucked by August 17th. It's faith. Yeah. How many times? This is what used to happen with me. I'm sorry I'm going on. If you want to leave, go. But I was afraid to go to jail. Yeah, because I've been in jail. It's nothing. Yeah, and I remember uh, went into AA and I did the inventory, and then I told the guy, hey, I have 2 outstanding warrants for my arrest in Alameda County, but I'm not fucking dealing with it now. Yeah. And he says, all right, I'm not ready because I felt if I go there, I was in a jail called Santa Rita in Alameda, and it scared the hell out of me. That place. And I did not want to go. And I believed if I went to these court dates, I would go to jail. So here's my answer. So my head is playing the Greek oracle. And oh, this was before I was sober. And I had court dates, and my head says, just don't go to court. Wow. Okay, that sounds like a good answer. Yeah. And so April 8th came up and I didn't go to court, and I was drinking, everything was great. And those poor fucking suckers, they're in court and everything. The Greek oracle has given me a very wise decision. If you're afraid to go to court, don't go to court. Okay. A week later, I'm driving around my girlfriend's car. I get pulled over. And if you don't know it, if you miss a court date, they put out a bench warrant for your arrest. And if you get stopped for anything that you believe you shouldn't have been stopped for, it doesn't matter. You're missing the court date, overrides everything, and you're taken to jail. So here I was afraid to go to jail, so I skipped the court date. A week later, I'm in jail and I have 2 more court dates. You can see what that faith is going to lead to. All right, don't want to go to jail. All right, I didn't go to jail. Uh, now I'm in jail and 2 court dates. Fuck, it's insane. Yeah. All right. I think I'll say goodbye. I'm happy to be here today.
Paul, some people put their hands up.
All right, bring them on. It's no
We
problem.
got Kathy and then Stephen.
All right, Kathy.
Maybe Annette, I don't know.
Well, hi everyone, Kathy. I was just kind of backtracking a little about when you were talking about habits and actions and stuff. And I remember being told that I can't think myself into right actions, but I can act myself into right thinking.
Yes.
And so the program gives me those actions that I make into the habits you were talking about,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, the program gives me those steps to take in 4 through 9 and those actions and when I do those actions, it changes my thinking.
Yes. And the thing is, if the problem resides in the mind, yeah, and you take an action and it's associated or accompanied with thought, it's much better if the habit you're in is an action that needs no thought. So you have actually cut out the problem because the problem resides in the mind. Yeah. So now the problem can activate concerning the solution and making it a problem because you're in the habit of being sober. Yeah. So I don't think about it. Yes, that's
Yeah.
the effect for sure. Yeah. That's the effect. You lose interest in it, and I do not think about recovery. I don't. I just live recovery. I don't. Yeah. All right. We have Stephen. That's all right, Kathy? Yes, good.
Brother Paul, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Yeah, I've listening for a while now, but I wanted to get on for a second and say hi. All your analogies really resonate. My sponsor told me a lot of the same stuff that he told me early on. The mind's never going to learn. I could do this for 2,000 years. The mind's always going to say, go do that. And another thing you said about the way you described the mechanical system, I call it it's like a software program running. And what it seems to me it's designed to do is create the character, the action figure, and the story or stories and keep them going over and over and over. I early on in this, I tried other easier, softer ways that weren't like going to a psychiatrist, and I would hold my hand like this, and I'd point at it that this is the mind, this is the talking head, and I would say this mind thing, and he got all freaked out, and he said, "Do you realize you're talking about yourself in the third person?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the problem." But he couldn't see that there was a me,
Yeah.
a this and a that. But anyway, I see you're going to be in Ventnor in a couple of weeks. New
Yes.
Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a couple of weeks too late. I just moved to Florida.
Oh, well, I'll feel your presence when I'm there.
I hope so, but you got to come down here.
I've never been in Ventnor.
It's right next to Atlantic City. It's it should be good. A lot
Yeah.
of sobriety.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, that's great. I don't
So
like it. I didn't like Atlantic City too
nah,
much.
that's a depressing. I was there for a while.
Is it near the
And
water though? The Ventnor?
what's that?
Is it near on the water?
Yeah, yeah, it's right on the water. It's just
Oh,
it's just south of it's
oh,
Atlantic City, Ventnor, Margate, Ocean City, something like that.
oh, great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Atlantic Ocean again. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, I'll hook up with you again. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. Yes, please.
Absolutely, man.
All right, everyone.
Oh, let's check in with Annette because she had her hand up for a second.
All right, Annette. Yes.
Sure. Thanks. I'll make it real quick because it's an honor. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. And just so resonating with this in that, so, circumstances have the head like really so amped up about thinking it needs to run everything as usual. And noticing yesterday, the practice, the habit of obsessing on Airbnb, looking for the next, stay, whatever, but then pausing or whatever, just getting, thank God, hearing the gut or whatever, and just pausing, and I don't even know why today. All I know is the one I was like so zeroed in on for various reasons is taken, and I'm just like relieved, and I just know it's what's up. It's exactly what was correct, whatever that means, even, but and that in trusting, as my sponsor would say, more in the grace of being in the wheelbarrow, like higher power is pushing rather than whatever my usual obsessive. Hey, and of course, the head is like, you wasted a whole day. You could have been doing this. Like it's so about efficiency. It's so crazy, and this seeming story that's going on the way it is with things being so daily. Just to come out where the hell I'm living day by day. Even though I do have a week here, the head still does that. Like you don't even know where, like it just, in other words, there's ample potential ammunition in this time space situation when I come from that direction. Or, when I'm guided from that direction. But apparently it's not as predominant as it had once been. I can't, even imagine this seeming circumstance even a month ago and being this tolerant or whatever about it, this like chill about it. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, man. Yes, thank that power. Yeah. The loss of interest is vague in a lot of ways. Yeah, but in time you get it pretty big. Yeah, but it's sort of because again, the constantly looking at everything is part of this interest you're going to lose. Yeah, I don't check in every 10 seconds to see what condition my condition is in. So, there's the loss of interest, is trippy because that self-centered focus when it starts becoming going out of focus, it's a trip. So when this laser-like idea of you gets more vague and more like misty, foggy, like it's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You're in for something great. Just stay on the table and don't get up. Yeah. It's and noticing isn't everything. Yes. It's it's not noticing can go to an extreme quite a lot. I used to work with people where I would be brought to the conclusion that I tell them to stop doing inventories and stuff because they were just constantly, it was like a form of self-obsession, yes, on the guise of getting better. Yeah. So uh, a lot of times when you're gazing or the panoramic is available, noticing is not a big deal. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So see what happens. And you're going to come out of these situations, honey. Just
Mhm.
again, uh, it always feels unique when we're in it, but the recovery from it is not unique. Thousands of people have been taken out of similar situations, millions really. And yeah, yeah,
I'll hesitate with the word noticing because I realize that absolutely, like you said, it's like that becomes another obsession. Just in this moment, what we realized, listening to the reading and everything, the whole message here that for today, the interpretation feels like how the tendency to disqualify myself from the moment,
yes,
yeah, and seeing it on another level. Because like my head first will say, oh, you've done the work, you looked at that, you're not, you don't hate yourself. And then it's like bullshit because that's exactly what is going on in the moment when it distracts me and tells me I got to look at X, Y, and Z. When it just won't let me be here in this grace of accepting this beautiful, like great Airbnb I'm at right now, like, what the fuck, Net? That's exactly what it is. It's disqualifying myself.
bring that to 6 and 7.
Yes.
Seriously, get in the habit of bringing this stuff to 6 and 7. Yeah. We may not be in that habit, but do it. That's a very valuable habit to get into because we're recognizing the movements of what we're not many, many days, but we don't follow through with bringing it to the higher power. Yeah, which is 6 and 7. So what makes us entirely ready is what was brought about through observation. We've realized observing steps 1 and 2. Yeah. And now you start bringing, when you see that stuff cooking that you have been under its influence for years, yeah, you bring it to that power and you state, I'm entirely ready for this to be reconfigured or removed. I don't like the word removed, but reconfigured. And you ask that thing you're intimate with and you imply it as a higher power, you bring it to that. So all this noticing is the next step is to put it in the garbage can. Yeah. And then put it out before Wednesday, because that's your garbage day. Yeah. So the noticing, the faith without works. So the noticing, faith without works, which would be 6 and 7. So this is faith with works. So you see the stuff that's not about you, you bring it to that power, let it reconfigure and extract that energy. Yeah. And that energy is going to infuse your life instead of being used to enslave it with all the noticing. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's like a life really lived in a lot of ways is unexamined. You examine it to a certain point, I feel, and then you get enough information. Yeah, you don't need to redo that uh, that year or that class over and over again. You move on to the living of stuff. So an examined life that goes too far gets to be an obsessive thing. You examine to the point where that need to examine is removed because it's done its job. You've realized something, and now it's a principle, yes? You see it. You're not looking at the circumstances and the conditions. You see the principle that is bringing about those circumstances and conditions, yeah? So the noticing has done its job. It's led to a principle. The principle is where you take the shelter. And then the noticing can drop by the wayside. Yeah? Yeah, I feel. Whatever works, but like a lot of people in the old days would come and bring notebooks to these talks, and then they would stop writing quickly. Yeah, because the knowledge is not to get more knowledge. It's to have knowledge of something where you're brought to a conclusion and you're convinced. Yeah. There's no retrying the case. There's no reconvicting anything. You got it, and then there's a moving on. Yeah. And at that point, a lot of noticing would be extra luggage. You don't need it, I feel. So, yeah. So I noticed I was fucked, and I was fucked, and I'm not managerial quality. And there you go. And then every once in a while, if I needed to remember, there would be blatant examples of it, and I was convinced. Yeah. And then the notices stopped. I didn't need to get the notices anymore. I got the message. Yeah. There's surrendering and then there's surrendered. It's different. Yeah. If you've been given the gift of recognizing what surrender is, then that can become a habit, and now you're in surrendered. It's different. It's different. Yes? It's
Yes.
different. You've learned the lesson thoroughly. You're not called back to that classroom. You're moving on.
The
Yeah.
funny thing is, Paul, is exactly, you just said it in words, is exactly what happens yesterday seemingly. And
Yeah.
then today, but the head is revisiting it, of course, today and going over
That
it.
is the head down.
You know,
But it's going to, I swear, if you stay in this direction, there is going to be a blanket loss of interest in it. And you're going to realize how its interest was like a net over a lot of stuff. And that weight of that net is going to be lifted, and you're going to feel lighter. It's just stay with it. This can happen over time, and it seems to be one of the growth direction is to travel lighter. Yeah. It's not a thing that has a beginning and end. It's a process right now. As long as you're living, it's activated. Yes. And there's a growing lighter throughout these events. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, just stay on that operating table. There are certain things you cannot do. Know that. I cannot drink or use.
Mhm.
Simple. Yeah. Everything else something will inform me of what I can and cannot do during the days. But in this life, there was a point that had to be convinced of, which is I'm not managerial quality, and it's best to have abstinence for any of that stuff. Yeah, because right now I live as if there is no dog at all.
Mhm.
If I trot playing with the dog and it wakes up, I'm going to have to live with that dog, and I don't do well with living with that dog. So right now, yeah, yeah. And then let the recovery begin. And there you go. Yeah. Yes. So it's an awesome ride, man, because your head obviously will continually think that things that are happening could never happen. It's just so fucking blind. It's insane. And you'll just lose interest in it. It'll keep blabbing and blabbing. You'll lose interest in it, and it will stop actually talking a lot. It will. It will. It won't be like it's still super on all day, and then but I've lost interest. No, the interest has a lot to do with its content. It's actually, it doesn't have the same content value when you lose interest. It doesn't. It's not, there's not like 80,000 thoughts barreling in. It seems like you have a big section where there's not much thinking going on during the day. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. We gotta go, I guess. I guess I have to go.
Thank
I
you.
guess I have to go.
We're good for now. Thank you.
Kathleen, you want some? You have something? Come on in.
No, I just came to tell you thank you, and that's all the hands up that we had for today.
Oh, all right. Thanks, son. Yeah, yeah. Hey, thanks everybody. Stephen,
Thanks, Paul.
Kathleen, Dave W, Rico Cruz, Mickey, our eternal greeter. We got Matthew in UK. We got a stranger next to Saraswati. Nice to see both you. Michael, that hair is going pretty good. Yes, yeah. There you go. You're ready for the next edition of Aquarius, the play, the musical. Can you sing?
Never heard of it.
All right, we'll have someone sing for you. We need that hairdo. All right, Crispy.
Dawning of the age of Aquarius.
That's right. Or the Jesus Christ Superstar may be your next big part. Yeah, we'll maybe get you there.
And I love singing. I'm gonna have to check
Your
that out.
agent's number, Michael. I'll have to call your agent and see if we can hammer out a deal. All right.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Diona, I hope you're allowing life to treat you well. Yes, I hope so. Good, good. I'll take that as a yes with the hand. Crispy. All right. Roman Mueller, my main man. Nice to see you as always, Roman. Stephen Mack, on having never left. Morrow, yes. Yes. Morrow is traveling lighter, constantly amazing herself. Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Martin, our main, he's the captain of the SS Sen Bichla. Oliver. John, Florida. Nice to see you. Annette, New York. Yes. I hope that I see you live there, Annette. Teresa. Yeah, you're going to come with us to Brenda Lee, have some Mexican food in Dover, New Jersey. Yes. And you'll meet Kathleen and other people.
Looking forward to it, Paul. That's why I'm hanging over here, bro. I'm not going anywhere.
If there's any mention of eating, just go to Brenda Lee. That's where we'll be. I'll eat there every day while I'm there. It's very good. Teresa, nice to see you, Teresa. Yeah, John, we got Oliver. I can't go to the other page. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to sit with each other. We've got another meeting at 4:30 Pacific time. Uh, mm, All right, thanks.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you.
Kathleen, for your love and service.